Welcome to Live Free. I'm Angela K. Austin. Together, we'll discuss books, we'll explore the world, and we'll do it with some of my closest friends. And hopefully, we'll make new ones along the way. We're in Memphis, Tennessee, with my friend, Laura T. Johnson. All right, Laura T., tell us a little bit about what you have going on right now. Tell us who you are, what you write, why you write.
I am Laura T. Johnson, but I am an indie author who pretty much kind of fell into this. It really wasn't on purpose. It was more or less, I have a story. If someone buys it, great, give me my money, I'm gone. But I write romance, and I also kind of fell in that genre also because I didn't know what I wanted to write. I just kind of knew what my story was, and at the time, what my publisher told me it was. So she was like, okay, you writing the romance genre. Okay.
When I first started, I thought I was writing romance, but submission after submission, I learned that I wasn't writing romance. I was writing women's fiction. It's something that you do have to learn as an author.
Yeah, it's very important. It's very important. And like I said, and you gave me the other part, the suspense romance, and I was so excited. I was like, found it.
So tell us a little bit about how you found your publisher, because I know it's always a journey.
For me, it wasn't quick, but it was sort of like my first time trying something.
Okay.
And so I always, when I do speaking engagements, I tell people I found her on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And, they're like, you trusted someone from Facebook? I read one of her books here. I saw she was from Philadelphia. And I was like, how did she get her books here? Mm-hmm. So what I did was I found her on Facebook, sent her an inbox, and she inboxed me back, and she answered all of my questions because by then, and I love this part, oh my goodness, what is her name? She wrote Waiting to Exhale.
Terry McMillan?
Terry McMillan. By then, I had made her so angry with me that she wasn't even taking messages from me anymore. All right, she was sweet right up until I hit that nerve. Because
I was trying to charge you. Like, how many questions you going to ask her?
Exactly. That was the issue. And she would, at one point, she was doing these Q&As on Facebook and on Twitter. Okay. And so when I found that out, I was like, oh, I'm in there. This is Terry McMillan, And so Laura has a lot of pride. Okay. Yeah. So I sent her a few questions. She answered them. Every week I would tune in for the Q&A, and my questions were coming kind of fast forward. And so I think finally I hit a nerve. And so she was like, okay, so look, if you're serious about this, you're going to have to do your own research. And so me being me, I'm thinking, oh, well, she just gave me some great advice. So let me ask you one more thing. Yeah. And so that's when she just stopped answering me. She stopped answering. So I'm not angry at her for that because she is a professional. And there's only so far you can go.
Oh.
With getting free information,
Yeah, I would have sent you a bill.
Yeah. And so I was like, you know what? Okay, so I'm going to do what she says. And that's when I found my publisher. And, bless her heart, she answered the rest of those 1,000 questions. Yeah. And so she finally, probably after a couple of months of knowing her, she says, send me your manuscript. And so I'm like, cool. I just emailed it to her. It hadn't been, copyrighted. I didn't know anything about that. I just sent it to her. And, I did not think this woman would take anything from me because why would she? She got her own books, Right. And so
would somebody take something from an unknown, unpublished person?
Why
would they?
Okay. Who would know it? So I only wanted to do the one book. And she was like, what? you don't want to write again? And I was like, no, I just wanted to do that, get some things off my chest, and that's it, you know. And so she was like, but you have to write.
What made you realize that you weren't done?
Her. Yeah. When the book was first released, she had done everything for it. And the book, of course, is called Where Would I Be? And when the book was actually, it's about my time in an abusive relationship. Mm-hmm. But I didn't want people to know it was me. Mm-hmm. So what I did, I just wanted it to be this fiction story. No one had to know it was me. No one had to know what I've been through. They just could relate to this character. Yeah. And so she asked me, she said, what do you want to put on the back of your book? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh, just put Laura Johnson lives in Memphis, Tennessee, and that's it. Mm-hmm. And she said, that's all you want? And I said, yes. And she said, oh, okay. And so she waits a couple of months, and so she said, I'm sending you your first box of paperbacks. And I'm so feeling. I know. Awesome. When I got that box, I was so excited. Mm-hmm. And I opened it up, and I was like, this is something I did. These are my words. Mm-hmm. And it was so amazing to me. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't even think it would hit me like it did. Yeah. And so I'm looking over the book, I'm looking at the cover, I'm hugging the book, because I love it so much. And I did. And so I turn it over and I'm reading the synopsis of it and I'm like, okay, that's great. And I get to the bottom and it says, Laura Johnson resides in Memphis, Tennessee. She is a survivor of domestic violence. Mm-hmm. I called her and I was like, what have you done? And she was like, let me explain. She said, this works best for you. Yeah. Because people see that this is something you went through. Mm-hmm. And this is where you ended up. It didn't destroy you. It didn't.
That's amazing, yeah.
Yeah, and and I was like, I don't want people to know that. She said, so what'd you write the book for? True. She was, why would you write the book if you didn't want people to know? And I had no answer.
Very good question. One of the things that always amazed me is what you just spoke about, how your publisher was like, this is your story, people knowing that this is your story makes it even that much more impactful. So how was that process? Because for me, when I think about it, it always interests me how you can relive that over and over. I have a story out there that is a really kind of personal story. Characters and all of the story itself are fiction, but it's based on some of the loss that I've had in my own life. How do you take reality, turn it into fiction?
Technically, like, for me, I'm going to say this. For me, at the very beginning, it was really difficult. It really was difficult. And I believe I told you at one point, there was this quote that I'd seen like on Pinterest or something. And it said, tell your story until your voice no longer trembles. Yeah. So it was like, keep telling that story until your voice no longer shakes. Keep telling it. And so I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep talking. So when the book came out and everyone found out, okay, this is you. Mm-hmm. What made you want to write this story? And like I tell anyone, for me, it was if one person read this book and saw that I made it out, then if it could help them in any kind of way, that was good enough for me.
Yes.
And so with every time I had to tell the story, it got a little bit easier.
I can't thank my friend Laura enough for joining me on this episode of Live Free. I hope that you'll continue to come back and join me week after week. And don't forget to also check out my podcast.